Hello everyone, BYM here, and today I'm bringing you along for a unique episode in the Wonderful Web of Nature series. I'm right now in El Valle de Anton in Panama, and I'd like to bring you along on my hike in the India Dormido Trail that will bring me to the rim of an extinct volcano. I think you all can learn a few interesting things from my journey on this trail, so I'd like to bring you along on the way. Hope you all enjoy. I wanted to give a little bit more background for what this area actually is unique for. And the reason why I actually heard to visit it was because it's known as one of the only towns that's actually built in an extinct volcanic crater. And so the area that I'm actually hiking in used to be part of the dome of this volcano, which ended up collapsing. And therefore this area is actually called a caldera, which I believe is the term used for a volcano dome that has collapsed. And because of the amount of fertility that's present in volcanic ash, this has fostered a unique area with a really strong amount of biodiversity, even compared to the rest of the rainforests in Panama, as well as the rest of Central and South America. I'm going to be able to actually see a variety of different ecosystems present in this El Valle de Anton area, and this just highlights the fact that El Valle de Anton is considered a hotspot for biodiversity, and it's actually considered a microclimate within Panama. So because microclimate is going to be the focal point of this video, I felt that it was important to take an intermission to define exactly what it is. So microclimate is an area that has different conditions like temperature, humidity, wind, and sunlight compared to the region surrounding it. And in this video, we're actually going to encounter a few different microclimates, and I'm going to explain how that makes El Valle de Anton such a unique area within Panama. So stay tuned for the rest of the video. So the valley floor of El Valle de Anton is unique in that it is sheltered from wind by the crater rim sides, and it also has a very strong ability to trap humidity, thereby creating a very lush scenery that you'll be able to witness in the area. The valley is also at an elevation of 2,000 feet or more in certain areas, and that allows the area to be far more cool, as well as also retain moisture far more frequently, as it also often gets cloud coverage and fog that rolls in, which allows a better climate and a better circumstance for different organisms to thrive, as water does not become an issue. And although we are now in the dry season in Panama, and I was staying in Panama City, and I'll show you some photos of this where it was completely dried out. And you can see behind me that all the trees are filled with foliage. Whereas the island that I went to the other day, called Tobago Island, had trees without any leaves on them just because of how intense the dry conditions are. And you can see and hear behind me that waterfall, so it indicates to you that water is really no problem. I wanted to showcase a few plants that I feel highlight the unique microclimate present on the valley floor of El Valle de Anton. And one of these includes red ginger, and this is because red ginger thrives in wet conditions, considering its large leaves, which lose moisture quite rapidly, and it actually can grow in full shade, which is present in rainforests. So it really would not do well on the crater rim, as we will see very soon. Another type of plant that is present all over the valley in the treetops are various species of bromeliads. And this highlights the unique high levels of humidity present in the valley, because bromeliads actually don't have roots, and they rely on the humidity in the air to actually gain their moisture, as well as different tanks that could be present within the center of the plant to actually store water that might fall as rain. And so that is actually quite an interesting plant to be seen in the valley. And lastly, I'd like to highlight a hemiepiphyte called the philodendron, which actually starts in the ground and then grows up into the trees. And this is another species, as you can see with its leaf shape, that loses moisture quite rapidly and thrives in the shadier conditions present in the valley floor. As you can see behind me, I've finally eclipsed the crater rim, and there's quite a big contrast between the forest over there and the volcanic mountain that you can see behind me. And one reason for that is just the soil difference. And you can see that there are little pieces of rock coming out from between the grasses and shrub area, and that is not a hospitable environment for trees. another really separate environment and ecosystem just because of the difference in terrain. And another interesting aspect is the fact that this area is just completely unshielded from wind, and that almost acts as a pruning agent. So it keeps plants from being able to grow so tall because it'll probably just rip them out of the ground the higher that they grow. So a lot of times you'll just see low growing grasses and shrubs instead. I think that there is a high possibility that the reason why there actually is somewhat of the furrier texture to these leaves is to preserve water. And so you'll see that it seems almost quite dry on this hilltop. Right, there are only grasses over here, there are trees, it's rocky soil. And so to adapt for the water scarcity and to also capitalize on the morning dew that might blow over or might actually just collect on these plants every morning, along with the fog that rolls in, this species seems to have evolved to have a furrier leaf. A plant that capitalized on the drier conditions present in the soils of the Valle de Anton crater is the Caribbean pine. And I was not expecting to see it on my trip to Panama just because the conditions present across the country, for the most part, rule out the possibility for this pine to actually call the area home. Just because the pines prefer drier soils as well as conditions of forests that are not highly crowded as you might expect to see in the rainforests. And so because of these conditions being so antithetical to the pine's existence, it was a surprise to me to see it there on the hilltop. And I really enjoyed walking through the forested portions in the more wind-sheltered regions of the ridgetop because it transported me to a whole different location in my mind, and I didn't really feel like I was in Panama at all. So I really thought it was interesting to see that. So as you guys can see, there's quite a lot to talk about when it comes to the ecological processes present in Valle de Anton. And I actually have quite a bit more footage that I'd like to showcase. So for that reason, I actually want to split the videos in two. So stay tuned for the next video where I want to speak about the Panamanian golden frog, which is a unique animal found in regions similar to Valle de Anton that are highly elevated throughout the rest of Panama. And I'd like to showcase the ecological processes that allow the frog to be present in such areas. So stay tuned for those videos coming soon, and thank you all for watching this one. And I hope you have a good day or night wherever you are. And if you have enjoyed these videos so far in the Wonderful Web of Nature series, please leave a like and subscribe so that you're able to stay tuned for the future videos and be notified of them. Thank you.